Okay, hi, sorry for the delay in my tardiness. We'll go ahead and call the APRN committee to order. And we do have a quorum. And no on-site packet that I looked for, correct? Okay.
That's correct, yes.
All right, are there any additions or revisions to the agenda? None that I know of. Anybody else online? Okay, take that as a no. Any announcements? Oh, sorry. We do need to approve the agenda from September.
This we did, we did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I move to approve the agenda as, printed.
That's fine. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Thanks, Kelly. Here, we'll figure it out. Okay, and then we need to, the minutes from last in September 9th of 2025. Do you have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes from the September 9th, 2025 APRN committee meeting as written.
Okay, do you have a second? Kelly?
I should say I said.
I'll second.
Kelly? Seconds, okay, perfect. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, any opposed? No. All right. So we did that. Yes, Abigail Lehman.
I don't see Tracy in attendance.
No, I don't see Tracy either. Okay. Okay. We're just acknowledging your presence, Abigail. All right, so now on to consent item agendas. We'll go with unfinished business. The prescription monitoring program committee report.
And that's Tracy, but I don't see her, so.
Okay, so
That's we're
no,
not gonna have that.
no update. Okay, and then an update on the CNM independent regulations.
Yes, I know something now.
Okay.
Let's just wait for you to say something. I've been working with the Board of Healing Arts, about these two regulations that are still out there for the certified nurse independent role that they license. And, there was, I guess, some confusion or something because they thought that they were waiting on us, although what was actually brought to the APRN committee in June of 2022 was sent back to the Board of Healing Arts to do some more work on it. And somehow, I think in all the people changing over there and stuff, that didn't exactly get carried forward. So their question back to me is, well, who's on this committee? And I said, well, can you tell me who you have there that's licensed as a certified nurse midwife independent? They said there are none. They've let them all lapse. So, I guess maybe this is a question for Kelly. Going forward, because I believe our articles say that I think they just have to be licensed through us. I don't know that it says that they have to be licensed as independent through the Board of Healing Arts. Although I'm not sure what they're planning on this, if there aren't any, and I don't know that there will be any in the future. So Kelly, do you have any feedback on this, or do you know, or?
The whole idea of a CNM-I, I don't believe was completely thought out in the beginning because they took a national designation and added the letter I to it, which made up their own designation. And then since that time, and we had a committee, an advisory council group that couldn't come to consensus on a couple of these things and didn't call a further meeting to try to work towards coming to consensus on the last two or three regulations. The people that did become CNMIs at that time were doing it because they were having difficulty with the collaborative practice agreement requirement under the Nurse Practice Act. And now that we have full practice authority, that is not an issue for folks anymore. So I even asked a hospital administrator from Parsons, Kansas a year and a half ago how he thought that it was a benefit from his perspective, and he didn't know anything about it. He said, we did it, she got it because she wanted it. Well, that was just to try to get the docs to play nicely with, and collaborate with her at the hospital. So all the folks that got it originally didn't find the need to continue it. And, I wasn't sure that everybody had dropped off, but if they don't have any at this point, then nobody currently feels that it's of any benefit since we have full practice authority now. I think it's a moot point.
So I guess my question is, since it is a mute point, I guess, in the state of Kansas, but legally, are we not required to finish out these regulations until this is revoked or taken back in some aspect? And I guess my question would be to Charles. Charles, you're on mute if you're talking. Well,
I can do
Another-
more research.
Another question I have is, why did the Board of Healing Arts not continue to work with the advisory council to try to get something to come to an agreement?
Well, evidently, if I'm understanding correctly, because Courtney was the one who was handling this, and she was the one who came to the APRN committee in June of 2022 to discuss this, and I think maybe two other ones. And the APRN committee had discussion about this and told Courtney that they would not take to the board for the board with a recommendation to approve these two. Now, the other ones they did, so those went back. Well, I think Courtney left shortly after that over there, and I'm not sure what happened then, because the person that they have me working with now, I had never really had anything to do with before. So I think maybe it got dropped a little bit, to be real truthful. It's probably not the best answer, but that's what I think.
I'd place it back in their hands if they feel that they want to continue forward with this when there are no applicants and no one who carries that license, then they need to bring some kind of advisory council back together to try to put together regulations that work, if they would ever have anybody in the future that would use it.
Do you think, Kelly, there would be any nurse midwives wanting to be on that council? Because of the fact that they can do more with full practice authority? I think that's my question.
The only reason people wanted to be on the advisory council was to protect midwifery. Not necessarily because they were the ones who wanted to use this designation, because most of us were offended at the fact that they even tried to make up a designation outside of what is established and recognized.
So do you think there would be interest from some of the nurse midwives to be on that council if they want to continue with it? or?
I
Getting-
think I could probably find people who simply want to protect midwifery who would do it. Yes.
Okay,
And in the past, it was the person who was the director of the midwifery program at KU. She was on it. An owner of a freestanding birth center was on it. Jamie Harrington, who was formerly on the APRN committee, was on it. And was both working at Wichita State in their graduate program and had a freestanding birth center. But I could find people who would probably participate just to protect midwifery from overreach by another organization.
And I would say we should continue on this path and do that until and if anybody has the appetite to pull this legislation, repeal it, because unfortunately, I think we're just leaving it out there dangling completed. I
Who
think
would start that process?
to repeal the legislation. I would assume those who felt like it was necessary in the beginning. And I don't know who those people were, or those midwives were.
because it's in the Board of Healing Arts Act. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how that all got started. But I do know it was something about a cutoff from the full practice authority.
I think a big factor in there was a freestanding birth center organization who had over time lost collaborative practice agreements with physicians, either from illness, death, or, things like that, and wanted some, I think, sense of stability, and that they didn't need to have that anymore. But they're not practicing anymore. I mean, that organization does not have any birth centers in the state of Kansas anymore.
Oh. Okay, I still stick with my original thought. If legal counsel had said something else, I think personally we should, close the loop and be done with it. So then that way midwifery is, there's no overreach in that, those who practice, are not bound by regulations that, might inhibit their, practice. So whether they apply for that or not, I want to make sure that midwifery has their say. But then at the same time that we close the loop on these last two regulations, would everybody be in agreement with that? If Kelly could find those midwives to participate, and maybe now that the Board of Healing Arts has a director, we can kind of get this wrapped up.
I think we're supposed to have 4 nurse midwives on there from KSBN.
I thought it was 3, but I can work on 4.
And it may be something very short and sweet that maybe we can accomplish over the next year. Hopefully, and not drag it out any longer.
It's 4 non-board members who are certified nurse midwives, licensed and appointed by the Board of Nursing.
Okay.
So we need 4.
Okey-doke.
Does that sound okay, Kelly?
Yes, I will reach out again and find some people.
And hopefully it'll be a very short. Carol, you're supposed to keep a straight face. Hopefully be very short, interim. And it's really just to close the loop until, and if and when any of this is repealed. We definitely want to make sure the midwives have their seat at the table.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, so next, number 3, update on the revisions of KR 60-9-106.
That one has it just came back for the second time from the Attorney General's office with a few minor changes that interestingly were okay the first time it went through there, but anyway. I just need to make those changes, there's another one too, and get that started back through again. It's just very confusing. That's something that was okay the first time it went through, the second time it's not okay, so anyway. I will dig that out, start working on that again.
Does anybody have any questions? And do we have a copy of that in our packet?
No.
Okay.
It
Yeah, I was looking for you. I'm like,
probably has been in front of that.
Okay.
I think it's this time.
so then that's fine. So then we'll see your updates on what the Attorney General's office wanted, and then we'll look at that in March. Okay, number 4, legislative review plans and samples from form and production.
Yeah, that is. I think it starts on page 16 for some reason, mine's not coming up electronic here, but anyway, you kind of remember we had a discussion about putting the 5-year review of statutes and regs that we used to do and combining with them with that 5-year review that we're required to do by the legislature because we have to submit a report. So there was questions that we had to answer from each one of them. So we actually combined those and I believe it starts on page 16. What you have in your packet is the combined process. So what it's going to consist of, basically, if you go to page 18, you're going to see the statutes and regulations that this committee needs to review during the calendar year 2026. Now, there'll be some others in 2027 and stuff like that, but we just kind of focused on the next year. And then following that, starting on page 19 is the form. It's just an example here that's been filled in. But this is the form that you will have to fill in when you review these. It's very similar to the form that you saw in the past. It just has a little bit of additional stuff, looks a little bit different. So I guess what would be very helpful for me is in March, do you want all of these put in the packet? Do you want certain ones in March and some in June? How do you want to go about this?
And I know, I'm not usually here for the March meeting, but I'd be more than willing to fill out all the paperwork early and make sure it's submitted to the committee. How would you like to proceed since you'll be the chair? Madam Vice Chair.
Well, considering there's 8, would we want to do 4 of them in March and 4 in June?
I'm okay with that as well. Tasha,
Yeah.
anybody online have any objections? Is everybody okay with that? And I'll do my 4, make sure they're sent on to the committee.
So are you going to choose which 4 or do you just want all of these put in? How do you want that done? Because what I will do is I would put a copy of the statute or the regulation in your packet and one of those review sheets for that particular statute or regulation. That makes sense?
We could just do the first 4 and then the second 4. Do better enough because 60 old and that 102, 60, 13, 113 are both nurse anesthetist.
There's 4 of them that have to do with things. Oh, you want to be the ones that have to do with the fees then? Without having topic specific.
So that would be 65,
Yes, 11:31.
65 and 11. 65 and 11. 60, 13, 20, 11, no. Oh, it's 65.
55, 54. About 6011-116.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you'll do those in March and then we'll do the other ones in June. Okay, that sound okay for everybody? We put the APRNs and CRNAs together and then everything else is fees and we can do those in March. Which I'll also fill out. Make sure they'll have my thoughts as well. Okay with you, Madam Vice Chair? Okay. All right, sounds good. Okay, so we have a plan for that and we'll get those done. Any new business? Okay, and then our agenda for the March meeting, we'll have our 4 legislative review schedule, which we just discussed. Hopefully have an update from the PMP meeting, committee report. And then, an update on the revision of KAR 60-9-107. And by then, hopefully Kelly will be able to give us an update from the midwife's perspective within both off our KR 100-28B-8 and KR 100-28B-9. Anything else I'm forgetting? Okay, again, I apologize for my tardiness. Thank you for everybody for participating. And if there's nothing else, then we'll close the meeting. I'll see everybody in March.